Shalom. Praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Harakah Kadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of great most honorable well. And shalom to the hopeful elect. This is the book of Esther, the first chapter, um, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of uh, Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia over 127 provinces. Right? So this ruler during the Medo-Persian Empire is actually Xerxes, which was depicted in the movie 300. All right. So it says that in those days when the king As- uh, Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the, the, the palace, in the third year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his unto all his princes. Um, and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. Right, so it really just shows you some great vanity in that there was a feast held for basically, I think that's like 6 months, 180 days straight of feasting. All right. And you know, King Solomon, a man had great levels of wealth, much more abundant than this king, Xerxes or Ahasuerus. Basically said it's better to go to the house of mourning than feasting. This is a very vain thing, a vain and light thing that he's doing. And when these days was expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Right. So even after that, he had a week-long feast for just those within the palace. Um, um, so it says, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and uh, black marble. Right, so having some extravagant aesthetics around the palace. It really just shows that um, Bull, that was a means of what he wanted to do. He wanted to show the wealth, the riches of his kingdom, and the glory of it all. Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. So he basically just said, go in, you know, have a merry old time. All right. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. All right. Excuse me. Excuse me. Fuck. Reading on. Verse 10. And on the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Muhim, Mehuman, Bizfar, Harbona, Bigfar, and A- Ab- Abagathar, Lephar, and Carcass, the seven chamberlains that served in the presence of Assuerus the king. All right, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. It's how you know he was waved, man. It's like he was drunk, all right, burst, drank too much liquor or strong drink, wine, you're young, because that Shataf, Shataf, because that because this man just said he just wanted to parade his queen before his men, all right. Verse 12, excuse me. But the queen Vashti refused to come to the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Right. So he called onto his queen, and she basically just didn't refuse to come before him. Which, as we is as we know, something like that is a great, you know, especially a king. It talks about um, I believe in the book of Ecclesiastes. It talks about curse not the king, not in your mind, neither in his bedchamber, least a bird or something carry it to him. So basically, a king holds that level of power, But this woman is woman, and even Zerubbabel broke it down in the book of Second Ezra, fourth chapter, or First Ezra, the fourth chapter, I believe. How that the queen was able to, mess around with the king's crown, and he was still timid and smiled and laughed with her. So it shows you these queen, these women, they get up with these men, and they feel like they get beside themselves. Well, she got beside herself, as we can see. All right. So, verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. Right. So these are people that he refers to as far as understanding the laws of the Medo-Persians. Verse 14. And next unto him was Kashina, Shifa, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, the seven princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law, because she have not performed the commandment of the king Assuerus by the chamberlains? And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and all the people that are in the provinces of the king Assuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. And when it shall be reported, the king Assuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. Alright? So basically, this act by the queen basically would Mumikan basically spoke to the fact that this would stir up all the women within the kingdom to basically, get beside himself and not honor their men. Right, which we know we're in the kingdom right now, as is the king, so is his subjects. We're in the kingdom right now whereby this man, Edom, alright, exalts his women, extremely high, puts them on a pedestal. So they're proud and boastful, all right, to fulfill, the prophecy of a woman compassing the man, all right, that being a new thing upon the earth. Because no matter where you go upon this earth, if they've had, some form of um what's the word I'm looking, they've been exposed to this Western world culture as part of, women so-called being liberated to be, having, even yesterday was Women's International Women's Day, all right, to the fact that they basically feel like, you know, proud and boastful, and they can, they'll even feel so emboldened they could swing on men, talk anyhow, do stuff that men wouldn't dare do to other men, even if somewhat some point, even where that you could, like, I know there's people, maybe I believe there's people I could have, beat up or folded like a folding chair. But I'm not gonna just do that, because I know there's such things as weapons. You could drive someone to a place where you never knew they were able to go to. All right, there's a respect that men have amongst men, whereas with women they'll do stuff and just think, I'm a woman. You can't touch, like they've got a force field around them that basically won't permit you to hit them. All right. So this is where we're at right now, and as you can see, that's what they were speaking to, as far as it can happen. So verse 19: If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, 127 promises, which is crazy, all right? From India to Ethiopia, we're talking about like the Middle East, and then by extension all the way to India, and then all the way up into Ethiopia, all right? Egypt, Ethiopia. You can imagine how vast a kingdom that is. Um, uh, all the wives shall give their husbands honor, both the great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Mumikin. For he sent letters unto all the king's promises into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. And look at that, better to go to the house of mourning than the house of feasting. Only, that decree that got established basically, abated some form of wickedness. But in his wine, even it says as well, rebuke not a man in his wine. Just so this must have enraged him even more than, yeah, I'm sober and I know that would have pissed me off. All right, but in your wine, in your feast, have a good time, and something like that happens, it really just shows you, the house of mourning is where it's at. So with that, I pray you're edified in this one. Shalom, shalom, shalom.